Congressional UFO whistleblowers are telling you that an alien invasion of Earth is coming soon, but they are dead wrong. The ET invasion is already happening right now. Their weapon is not what you think it is. It is much more dangerous than anyone ever thought possible. The ET weapon is concentrated love. And if you're not prepared, she will break you. All right, so it is true. You have UFO whistleblowers in Congress trying to tell you and the mainstream media, and again, this is happening inside of congressional hearings. They're trying to tell you that 3 extraterrestrial races are already on the planet and there's soon going to be an invasion and we have to be prepared for it. And they want you to believe that those 3 alien races are the Greys, the Reptilians, and the Nordics. And it's like it's coming directly out of some ufology conference. But look, the invasion isn't coming soon. The extraterrestrial invasion of Earth has already happened. It's going on right now. And so let's get into exactly what this invasion is. So the unknown truth of the 3D Earth simulation is this. The Earth is a closed system that does not function the same as the other worlds that exist outside of Earth's orbit. So that is the first thing you must really burn into your brain as an assumption. Because the assumption that you naturally have, and the one that is being given to you, is that a scene from Star Trek or Star Wars is about to happen. And that the aliens that are coming to Earth, they are 3-dimensional creatures from other planets and they have nefarious needs and they're going to come and mine the Earth or use people or breed them or something. They haven't told you what, they just want you to be afraid. But the assumption is that their worlds are just like ours. And that is not true. I'm here to tell you that the Earth is a closed simulation. It is operating under its own rules. And those same rules that we operate under are not the same as the reality that goes on all of the other planets outside of Earth. So the other assumption is that we think all other planets are just like ours in the same universe, and that's not true. They live in different frequencies, different dimensions. So we need to understand exactly what the differences are so we can understand how this ET invasion has already happened and what it is accomplishing and how it is changing Earth. So ET worlds all operate on higher frequencies that are opposite to Earth. They operate from intense unconditional love. The Earth operates from fear, self-devaluation, and predatory competition. So those are completely opposite understandings and ways to function. So we function that way because, again, this is a closed system with its own frequency. And within that frequency, the way our minds work is that first off, we have the false impression that we are isolated and alone, which isn't true. We also operate from fear because we don't know what other beings are thinking. We operate from fear because other beings, other animals might come and kill us and eat us or do something horrible to us. We operate from devaluation. Our main focus as human beings is to try and get some value in this world, try to be something, get reputation and money and power because we feel so powerless. This is unique only to Earth. Now, we assume it's like that on other planets, so why wouldn't they want to come and conquer us and do all kinds of things that we see on Star Wars and Star Trek and other UFO science fiction movies? Well, we've got it backwards. This world is the unique one. This is the upside down world. So until we understand what is really going on in their worlds, we won't understand what the ongoing ET invasion is really all about. So Earth operates from fear, self-devaluation, and predatory competition, but in the ET worlds, they operate from intense unconditional love. So that means just basic things. I mean, this is why we live in a world where we have things like money and banks and credit scores, and that other human beings are allowed to die. I mean, one of the most unbelievable things I ever saw. This was, actual video footage of a hospital taking a woman across the street in the middle of winter, an old, sick woman that was incapable of moving and functioning, and they just dropped her off on the sidewalk and went back into the hospital. Why? Because she didn't have any money. So they just left her out there to die in front of a hospital. That's the kind of thing that goes on planet Earth. So of course we're filled with fear. So of course we are afraid of the unknown. Other beings and other planets, what are they going to do? But that's because the Earth operates under its own frequency rules. And the rules of other planets are intense love, cooperation, and all of the things associated with that. Everybody is family. Everybody is friends. Everybody loves everybody else. That is their basis of reality. Ours is the opposite of that. So Earth operates from fear, self-devaluation, and predatory competition, the opposite of these other ET worlds that are, in fact, in the process of invading planet Earth. So the unknown truth of alien civilizations. So the Earth's closed frequency creates a world where everyone feels isolated inside their own body, all alone. You don't know that that's not the truth. But that's the reality. The reality is that that is part of the Earth simulation. That is the test. That is the whole idea, is that people incarnate in this false feeling of isolation so that they can get really connected to their soul. And of course we make a lot of mistakes. That's unique to Earth. It's not what it's like out there in other worlds. So the closed frequency creates a world where everyone feels isolated in their own body and they're all alone. But the ET world frequencies create worlds where everyone can feel everyone else's mind, their heart, and the emotions. And in ET worlds, they operate from interconnection, cooperation, and love, as opposed to Earth, that operates from fear, self-devaluation, and predatory competition. We are completely opposite them. So this is, you can choose to believe it or not believe it. Again, I don't teach anything that I haven't personally proven through extensive experience. So I understand if you don't believe this and you think something different. But I'm here to tell you that this is the truth. And until we understand this truth, we will never truly understand the alien invasion that is going on. So ET worlds operate from interconnection, cooperation, and love. There's no money, there's no banks, there's no governments, because everybody is everybody else's best friend. And so there isn't the haves and the have-nots. There isn't, you have to compete with somebody else for a job, or you have to compete with somebody else for money, or none of that goes on. The same way, if you've got a group of close friends, you take care of each other. So imagine an entire planet where everybody takes care of everybody else. That's what is the norm. That's not, all beings sort of get to this place. That's the norm. We are the ones that are completely opposite. So Earth's frequency programs into humans a feeling of safety when a person builds walls around their minds and emotion. Now that makes sense, because if you're in a hostile environment and you don't have the ability to know what other beings are thinking and feeling, you never know when somebody's going to turn on you. It makes sense that in order to feel safe, you build a wall around yourself. You build city walls, you build emotional walls, psychological walls. That makes perfect sense. When a human's physical and psychic barriers feel threatened, they go into a self-defense mode of fear, anger, and aggression. So I'm here to tell you that outside of the earth-closed system, fear, anger, and aggression doesn't exist. How do I know that? We know for a fact, and you're starting to learn, that human beings have shot down aliens. They have reverse engineered their technology. They have killed them. They've experimented on them, and they are currently holding them hostage. And so we know that they don't operate from fear, revenge, anger, because if they did, this world would be dust. They do not respond that way because it is not in their nature. It's not in their nature because that's not how their frequency works. It is so alien to their way of being to cause harm, to be fearful, to be angry, to be aggressive. That would be suicide. So of course they don't act that way. We act that way, but they don't. And until we understand we're completely opposite of them, it's going to be hard to understand what their invasion is all about. So we go into a state of self-defense mode of fear, anger, and aggression when we feel our barriers are threatened. So we need to talk about human love. Human love is based on transactional relationships. It is not unconditional. That means every human relationship except for one, and that's under the best conditions, which is a mother's love for her infant child. An infant child up until about when they become a toddler. That love is unconditional, meaning the only thing that a healthy mother wants is what is best for the child. She wants nothing for herself. She's not gaining anything. Whatever joy she gets is by giving love and seeing her child grow and become healthy. She gets her joy from seeing the other person becoming healthy and happy. This is the norm for extraterrestrials. But once a human being gets beyond 3 or 4 years of age, then love is conditional. Love is a transaction. Same thing with marriages. You may love your spouse. They may be the most important person in your life, but your love is transactional. Don't believe me? Stop giving them love. Poke holes in their tires and do horrible things. Watch, that relationship will end very quickly because it's a transactional relationship. That's the best we can accomplish. Nothing wrong with them. There's some great love relationships, but they're transactional, and that's different. We've never experienced what the ETs have and what they want to bring to us. So human love is based on transactional relationships. It is not unconditional love. Alien civilizations feel safe when they have a psychic connection to all other people in their world. So we feel safe when we build up these walls of protection around us. ETs feel safe the more vulnerable they make themselves to their other fellow ETs, the more internal, psychic, telepathic, emotional, energetic connection that they have, the safer they feel. So their understanding of safety is completely different from ours. As a result, ET citizens don't respond from fear since they are not programmed to protect their isolation. Do you hear what I said? We are programmed to protect our isolation. When our feeling of being isolated from other things and other people gets threatened, without even realizing it, we immediately go into a fear mode. We're just built that way. They don't do that. So they seek to increase their feelings of unconditional love because they really enjoy vulnerable, deep connections on a psychic level, on an emotional level, on an energetic level. Human beings can't tolerate that. We can tolerate it to a small extent, but more, if we get to anywhere near the level that what they have, we start to flip out. So ET love is based on intense, unconditional love and empathy. Ours is transactionally based, and it has to do with survival. That isn't to say there aren't beautiful love relationships on planet Earth, but now that I've experienced the kind of love that ETs have, I can tell you categorically that human love is transactional. It's still limited. Their love increases. They seek. They might even say obsessed. I don't know. Maybe they're not obsessed, but they're deeply, deeply attached to the idea of deep interpersonal connection on a psychic, emotional, empathic level. Their love is based on intense, unconditional love and empathy. Because Earth is a closed system, humans have never felt higher consciousness frequencies. I know you may not believe me, it might be hard to believe, but I'm here to tell you that you have not felt the kind of higher frequency love that ETs live with every day. The only people that have come close have been people who have had perhaps intense spiritual experiences, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences. That's the closest. And again, I know from personal experience, I can tell you the difference. I've had out-of-body experiences, and I've had what constitutes a near-death experience where I went into the light, and I can tell you that there's nothing like it here on this planet. Nothing even comes close. Even if you have a spiritual connection with somebody and it feels beautiful, it is nowhere near what ETs experience on every moment of their lives. So because these higher frequencies are based in shared emotions and thoughts as opposed to our isolative experience, human exposure to this conscious energy triggers the human defense response of fear to preserve our isolation. We are built to preserve our isolation. That's why we get off on not trusting people. That's why people like watching horror movies. It is just so weird. Why would you want to watch a movie about people being frightened and killed and tortured? Because we get off on having our fear response kicked in. And our fear response is to further isolate us. And we get off on it because it makes us feel like we're in control and it makes us feel safe. ETs don't function that way. ET consciousness energies destroy the psychic defenses, and this terrifies humans. So I'm here to tell you that unlike what you're being programmed to believe by our own government, by our own ufology crowd, by our own media that wants to tell you that grays are going to come through the roof and put you in some kind of a trance where you can't move, and then they're going to take you onto their ship and they're going to put stuff in your caboose. That fear that they're trying to create in you, well, you will be afraid if a higher dimensional ET were to appear in front of you. It's very likely you would feel intense fear. But it wouldn't be the same kind of fear. It wouldn't be the fear of that being is going to experiment on me. It would be a fear of the unknown. Because you have never in your life ever felt what it's like to be in the presence of a being that has unconditional love. At the level that they do, that concentrated level of love, I can tell you you've never felt it, unless perhaps you've done some of the things that we teach on this channel. But I'm going to say a 99.9% chance you've never felt it. So ET consciousness energies destroy the psychic defenses, which terrifies humans. So again, your psychic defense is based on preserving your experience of being isolated, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, physically isolated. This is what gives you a feeling of safety. And when energies come from higher dimensions that ETs carry, that defense system starts to come apart. Your feeling of isolation starts to come apart. You will start to have experiences on a telepathic level. You will feel empathically powerful emotions coming from them. You will feel their higher dimensional, higher frequency physical energy, which will go through you, and that will make you feel something you've never felt before. All of this means you don't have control and you're no longer isolated, and then that will terrify your human defense mechanisms. But that's all that's happening. It feels like it's killing you. You might even be in total bliss when it's happening. But there's a part of you that will be flipping out because it doesn't feel like it's in control. It's my experience and a lot of other people's experience. So, ET citizens are aware of the human fear response, but it's very difficult for ETs to hold back their intense desire for complete emotional and psychic connection with humans. So we have this on Earth. There's a mental illness called borderline personality disorder. And what they go through is actually very normal. It's just extremely extreme. And their main fear is to be consumed by somebody else. And they have this experience when they start to feel actual love, because you become a borderline when you don't get enough love and attention as an infant. And this creates all kinds of trauma, but they desperately want intimacy, but because they've never had it, they don't know what it feels like. So when they actually start to have somebody that actually does love them, that feeling creates tremendous fear. It feels like it's killing them. And the thing that makes them feel like they're dying is the fear that that person is going to consume them. Doesn't make any sense, but that's what goes on. And that's what happens to every human when they are in the presence of a higher dimensional ET. Especially if that ET is really projecting deep love. What will happen is the human being will go into a fear response as though they're going to be consumed. They may not consciously know this, but this is what's happening. So it's very difficult for ETs to hold back their intense desire for complete emotional and psychic connection with humans when humans make contact with ETs. The ET instinct is to flood humans with concentrated love. Why would they do that? They're not doing that to torture you. They do that, again, because that's what they're used to. They're around people, they can look another ET in the face, and that other ET will feel tremendous unconditional love, and it goes back and forth. They bump into humans, and humans are these isolated, frightened beings, and it breaks their heart. Like, oh. And so their instinct is to pour so much love into you that you'll know how much you're loved, but because they're not human, they don't always know that that is what creates, that it freaks us out, and we run away from it. So it's very hard for them, because on the one hand, their heart is breaking and they want to give to us, because if their thought process is, if you just knew what it felt like to be loved, you wouldn't be so uncomfortable, you wouldn't be so upset, you wouldn't have all these problems. But unfortunately, unless we're used to it, it can be incredibly frightening and create that fear response in us. So ETs are not able to hide their feelings or energies, and this frightens and overwhelms humans. When I go to meet somebody I've never met before, I don't dump all my feelings on them. You get to know somebody, there's too much sharing. You can't just, the first time you meet somebody, just go, oh my God, you're the person I've always been waiting for. You'll freak people out. So we don't do that. We hold back. ETs don't hold back. I'm telling you, they do not hold back. Those that have been around humans enough know to do that, but it's very challenging. It's, I dare say, painful for them because they want so badly to connect and give you love. When we experience that, we feel that from them. It again triggers that fear response in us, and it frightens and overwhelms us. The sad truth is that humans have never felt true, complete, unconditional love in their entire lives. When humans feel ET love for the first time, it can create feelings of fear, anxiety, and even intense emotional pain. The emotional pain is the result of the unconscious experience of being truly seen and accepted without the rules of transactional 3D love. So I'm here to tell you, you've never felt that. You've never felt it from yourself. You've never felt it from others. This is why people, gravitate towards religion, because the idea that God loves us unconditionally, assuming you have a good understanding of religion. So when that love actually is there and connects with you, it's, as I said, it can be so overwhelming. And anyway, let's talk more about it. So ETs have indeed arrived on Earth with the intention of invading, overwhelming, conquering, and destroying 3D Earth. The weapon they are using is the weapon of concentrated, unconditional love. Every time a human feels truly seen and loved, this triggers within them the death of the human 3D identity. And that human 3D identity feeds off of 3D transactional love. So when you have true unconditional love, this is the death of the third dimension. So your identity in human realms comes from what you accomplish in this world. And, there's extremes. Some people, they love you for who you are, but you still got to go out and make a living. You have to be successful. And then there are other people that are so isolated and so empty that their only sense of value comes from something external, how they look, how sexy they are, how muscular they are, how powerful they are. These are all things that have nothing to do with us. It means that if you're loved because you're beautiful, if you're loved because you're a talented musician, if you're loved because you're a powerful politician, if you're loved because you constantly go out and help other people and your reputation is that's the person that's always helping others, then it means that your value comes from what you do or something external as opposed to who you are. And the message of that is who you are is meaningless. The message is you don't have any value. So when you operate from that, which is our safety, we feel safe within that because we understand it. When a being comes along and gives you unconditional love and their message is, I love you simply because you exist and for no other reason, and you feel intense love simply because you exist, this is something that can be very frightening for humans because we are used to the transactional love, and that is feeding off of our 3D defense mechanisms. And so when they love you unconditionally, this is the death of the third dimension. So you will go through a death. If you allow yourself to be seen and loved, it will kill you on a psychological and emotional level. So this is a hostile takeover. This is a hostile invasion because you will die as a result of it, at least on a spiritual level. So each time that a human allows the higher frequency of ET psychic connection, the frequency of unconditional love destroys more of the human 3D identity. During this process, if allowed to do so, the ET will seek to show the human their higher dimensional identity. So this is something else you don't know. And this is an important assumption. These higher dimensional ETs, as they come to Earth and they see a human walking around, they can see who that human is in a higher dimension. They can see who that human was in a past life. They see the truth of that person. And they will see you literally sometimes as a much larger being. They will see you like a god. They will see you in a way that they can't believe the beauty of who you are. You never know that because you are wrapped up in the perception of being this worthless little 3D human who has to get their value based on what they have or what they give or what they do or how they look. ETs look at you and they see your true soul. So they have a very strong desire to awaken you to who you truly are. And so they're going to want to do that. But if you experience that, you're going to have to go through a death. So the human will then have to endure the confusion of accepting their new identity. And I mean that seriously. You will start to think that you're losing your mind. I know from personal experience. But the truth is you are losing your mind. You're losing your 3D mind. But that's the only mind we know. So we're afraid, you'll be afraid that you're making things up, that you're losing your sanity, that you become delusional. But the difference is delusional people are very attached to their delusions. They defend their illusions. People who go through this kind of transformation, they're not attached to it. In fact, it's disturbing to them when some higher dimensional being starts to tell you that you're a god. This is very disturbing to the third dimensional identity. And so again, our defense mechanisms kick in. The ultimate goal of the ET invaders is to lovingly overwhelm the 3D human fear-based self-protection response. So the one thing they know is they know that your defense mechanisms have to be dismantled and destroyed. And the only method they have of doing that is to just love you. Just continue to love you and relentlessly keep loving you unconditionally, loving you without transaction, and continuing to show you who you truly are. They will be relentless in this. And they know that it's an attack on your third dimensional reality. They're aware of that. But they're doing it because they love you. And they want you to be happy. So the ET agenda is to reunite the human race with their intergalactic star family. They miss you. You don't remember them, but you've been with them. You've been with them on other planets. You've been with them in other lives and other dimensions. And it's like a family member. Imagine a family member that goes missing and comes back a year later and they don't remember you. They have amnesia. Imagine how painful that would be. That's what it's like for ETs. You are their star family, and the thing they want most is to reunite with you. Again, that's another reason why they haven't attacked humans, who attack ETs, who down their spacecraft, who take ETs hostage, who experiment on them, kill them. They haven't attacked us because they know we're crazy, and because they see us as their family. You wouldn't do that to your family members. If you had a family member that had rabies and was, attacking you with a knife, you wouldn't take revenge on them. You would want them to heal. You would try and help them heal. They're trying to help us. So ET's hope is to co-create an Earth where all conscious beings can exist together and have unconditional love. So they are coming to this planet. They're already here, and they are invading, and they are seeking to conquer this planet and transform it into a place of love, where all conscious beings are allowed to be here, where you can interact with all of them, and everybody is connected in the most unbelievable utopian love you can possibly imagine. And think about it. Doesn't that make sense? The world we live in doesn't make sense. Even if you think it's the ultimate reality, does it make sense? What makes sense? A universe where The truth of everything is love, compassion, empathy, cooperation. Well, that happens to be what it's like outside of Earth. And that's what they want to bring to Earth. And they are invading, and they are doing everything in their power to co-create that Earth with those of us that are ready and willing to become a part of that new Earth. E.T. Unconditional Love says, "You have value to me simply because you exist." That's not what humans say to each other. So the Earth is shifting. So how will you respond to this invasion? The Earth is shifting to a higher frequency. That has already begun and cannot be avoided or reversed. So you've heard about this shift. It didn't happen the way a lot of us thought. It wasn't some instantaneous light flash that came and changed us against our will. No, but it is happening. And it's on a historical scale, it's happening very quickly. For me, it's happening a little more slowly than I'd like. It started 3 years ago. I can talk about that in other videos. But the frequency shift started in earnest about 3 years ago, and things have been heating up. So this is changing, the Earth is changing, human consciousness is changing. Whether we like it or not, that process has begun, and there is nothing that can stop it. So the question is whether or not you will cooperate with this invasion of love or you will fight against it. Those are your only choices. You can no longer be in the middle and not decide or just try and compromise on doing everything you've wanted or fitting into society, being safe, you have two choices. You can either completely rebel against this third dimensional Earth and go after the ET, where the ETs live, which is where we belong also. We used to live in that. We haven't been there for about 13,000 years. But that's your only choice. And it's going to take effort, and it's going to be frightening for the reasons I've already talked about. And you're going to have to consciously choose to do the difficult thing. But it'll be worth it. Your other choice is either to fight against it or to try and do nothing, which is the same thing. So those who choose to accept being truly seen and loved without transaction will safely resurrect to their new 5D identity. So that's the price you have to pay. You've got to give up your third dimensional, fear-based, protective response, and you have to be willing to die to the idea of who you think you are, which will be a death. It will have the level of fear can be the same as if somebody's got a gun to your head. The level of fear might be at that level. It might even be more intense. That's okay. Because if you die to that, you're going to awaken to who you have been for trillions of years, which is a God. And you see how dangerous this is, because it goes against everything we've learned in religion, goes against everything we're taught in society. Don't stand out. Don't buck the system. Again, we have people who off themselves because they don't have money. Money doesn't even exist. It's just a concept that we use to create this false feeling of control. So imagine rebelling against all of that. It's the most dangerous thing possible. But this is what this invasion is about. And those are your only choices. You can either stay with the current 3D narrative, or you can rebel against it. I hope you'll make the decision to rebel against it. Because once you do, then the transformation will occur. Look at him in his suit. Well, he's going to have to take off that monkey suit if he wants to transform. And then once he makes himself vulnerable to true unconditional love, there he is, powerful and naked and beautiful. That can be you. So thank you for watching this video. If you're new to this channel, go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification bell button, and take a look at some of my other videos. There is a practice that I teach that can give you the ability to face this and to increase within your own body these higher dimensional frequencies. This will allow you to have greater access to the light beings. It will give you an ability to move through this dimension. It'll give you an ability to expand farther and farther in your consciousness so that you can truly allow yourself to be seen and loved. And if you're brand new, we do every Wednesday and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We do the live guided interdimensional meditations. If you can't make it at those times for the live stream, not a problem. Go to the live section on my channel and you can watch any of the archived versions. I guarantee you'll have an experience. And then reach out to me if you want to know where to get started to do more. You can go here to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, which is a practice that will allow you to begin to strengthen your body, to shift your body to a higher frequency so that your body will be able to handle these higher dimensional energies. So you can find that at thunderwizard.com. Click on memberships to find that. If you really want to go for the highest, most powerful stuff, go here to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Anyway, I talk about this stuff on other videos, but I won't take the time to do that now. Just want you to know that you are loved and that there is hope. And I hope you'll join me in my rebellion against the limited third dimensional transactional world that we have lived in. And I hope you'll work with me to help create this new world, along with our light being extraterrestrial friends. All right, so until then, just be aware that she will break you, and it will be absolutely fabulous when she does. I wish you all the best. Please take care of yourself. I will see you very soon.